So this entire drawing I'm gonna make with just this piece of willow charcoal and a kneaded eraser. Just to show, you know, you don't really need many materials to make a good drawing and a completed drawing. You also see my reference right here that I've got on my laptop, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how I work and the process in which I do. As I work, I'm trying to get the values down and the structure of the portrait down all at the same time while I'm doing the proportions. I'm using the flat end of the willow charcoal here to be able to put down tone, and then using the edge of it moving down along with the line to be able to make a thinner line with this, the edge of the charcoal. I like to work in willow charcoal because it has a quality like vine charcoal, in which case it could rub off pretty easily, and it's not as permanent and as hard to manipulate as compressed charcoal, but it still has the ability to go really dark. I struggle to be able to find that nice darkness in vine charcoal, which can actually become a little bit silvery, a little bit gray in terms of the darkness that it can reach. So I think from what I found, willow charcoal is a really good in between, where it's workable, you can be light, but you can also create some really darks to push the drawing forward, and it still wipes away really easily. While I'm drawing, I'm constantly looking at my reference, and I'm looking at my reference almost as much as I'm looking at my drawing, if not more, because if you start looking at your drawing a little too long, and you start to just create your drawing mostly from your head, and you forget to really connect it back to reality or what you see, and it starts to become more just about what you want your drawing to look like, if that makes sense. So as I'm putting down this tone and this value, I'm keeping in mind the connections of scale and of the proportions of the face. So I see that, for example, I see that the edge of the mouth here, in this photograph specifically, and in many others too, the pupil area, or where the middle of the eye would be, lines up with the outside of the mouth. And with the angle of the face, there's a slight angle to it, so the inside of the darkness shadow here by the nose, by the bridge of the nose, lines up with the outside of the nostril here. The great thing about willow charcoal is that if there's something you don't like and you want to lighten it, you could just wipe it off. Wipe some of it away without even using an eraser. But that's also the tough part, because sometimes you want to keep some of those dark areas, so you need to be careful. When you're starting to add detail, a good benchmark I use is that I try to keep most of the detail in the focal point of the drawing. So, for example, I want the focal point of this drawing to be in the face and in the eyes mostly. So I'm going to add a lot of detail to the eyes, and I'm going to keep the open ends and the outside of the drawing loose because I don't want the eye to wander there so much. I want to bring the eye back into the details and the face. Now with the kneaded eraser, we can add in some details. Just lightening areas and erasing out some of those harsh lights, some of those highlights in the face. It adds a lot of detail with very little. So there you go, a whole drawing, whole portrait drawing with just a piece of Willow charcoal and a kneaded eraser.